So moving on from the last session where we spoke about the idea and coming up with something you're passionate about and had some experience in, I'm just doing a quick video today about thinking about running the costs of your idea. So the reason I do this, and I do it quite early on, is do the idea, then move on to the cost side of things, because I suppose one of the main things is you want to work out whether this is a hobby business or whether this is actually a business you're going to make a decent amount of money on. Running the numbers at this stage, stage 2, is really just to get some rough figures together. It's not detailed. That comes next week with a business plan where we start to work out a little bit more about it. So at this moment in time, just getting some numbers onto paper, looking at it. So with my card game, it's very much a case of saying, look, how much is the printing going to cost? How much is the artwork going to cost? How much is going to be the marketing distribution, which I don't know yet. So this is, again, top line figures. Don't get too bogged down with it. And that's why this video is going to be quite quick today. So what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is getting some figures from different printing companies. The beauty of the card game is it's just paper and ink and everything else is marketing. So I've spoken to some printers. I went out for 4 quotes. Had a look at those numbers from them. Some of them kind of are there or thereabouts, but like anything, if you're getting a project put together, might be a house build or something, you tend to go out to more than one supplier. So got those numbers, crunched those, and they show you the following. Okay, this isn't looking quite as good as I'd hoped, but let's just go with it. So I've got printing costs for 100 units and 500 units, as you can see. And then I've got my design costs. They're fixed. Once the design's done for the card game and the box, instructions, etc., I shouldn't have to, unless there needs to be some sort of tweaks to it, I shouldn't have to then spend any more money on the design. So that's a one-off cost. As you can see on the printing, 100 units will cost £760. That was the best price I got from a printer, which equates to £7.60 per pack. And on here, you've got £1,895, comes in at £3.79. You can see a real difference there, real drop in per pack rate, which is the number I need to work with when I'm working out the cost to sell these things. And that's very much down to how the printing industry works, where once you've set up a machine and the printing presses are running, actually the cost to run more copies isn't actually as expensive. The only problem is that's quite a big number for me to start with, and I'm actually going to have to need to be maybe here, maybe slightly less when I launch the game, so that I'm not printing too many packs and then finding I don't sell any of them. I did a quick calculation here. So I took the 100 units. I'm working out around about £10 to sell my card game. So £10 a pack I thought was a reasonable place to start. The 300 design plus the 760 gives me 1,060 if I go down the route of doing 100 units for launch. Fairly close to break even. I sell 100 units at £10 a pack. I make £1,000. So I'm fairly close to break even on that. Then I looked at £5,000 gross profit. What if I wanted to make £5,000 in my first year? This feels like a reasonable amount of money to make. It's not a ridiculous amount. That would be gross profit. So if I sell in batches of 500 and use my 500 price, then I actually make £6.21 profit per pack. That's my cost, £6.21 profit. I need to sell 805 packs at £6.21 to make £5,000 profit. And on my 10,000 to make profit, I need to sell 1,610 packs, buying it 500 units of 500 and using that price. Now I could take do 1,000 units and the unit rate will come down, but then I'm still going to be paying out quite a bit up front. But obviously to get to here would be an ideal scenario. So I'm looking at this and saying, could I sell 1,610 packs? Or is that more realistic to go for and think about this sort of number? Is that the sort of number I'd be happy with? Bearing in mind my budget, all of this doesn't include marketing or the illustration issue I brought up in my last video. So we need to think about how realistic this is going to be. So next week I'm going to develop the business plan. I'm going to feed some of this information you will see into the business plan, and then I'll go from there. But at the moment, it's looking like I'm going to have to sell quite a few units on day one to cover my costs of the design and the print for those, to then be able to move forward to order more units. And that's going to have to play into my sales strategy. And I'm going to have to keep this very cheap and try and work out an option on this, because at the moment, this could cause me a problem. I hope that all made sense and was fairly straightforward to follow. I tried to keep it simple, but as I was going through it, it seemed to be more complicated than it needed to be. The bottom line is I had hoped to be selling around 10,000 units in year one. And I'm looking at it thinking, actually, should I just go for 5,000 and play safe? But the starting point will be getting 100 units produced for the launch. And then I need to look at very cheap ways of marketing it, which I'll be talking about, as I say, next week. So hope that makes some sense. And I know it's fairly straightforward for a lot of people putting that down, but I just need to work through the process before we get to the business plan next week. One thing to bear in mind is I haven't spent any money really at the moment. I'm just looking at the numbers. I looked at the business idea last week, and now I'm going to do the business plan. I'm not buying domain names. I'm not spending money on logos and anything else. I'm trying to get everything lined up first so I don't make any mistakes or overlook anything further down the line. So I hope that's of interest, and I shall catch you again next week.